Stand by. And the tape's rolling, Peg, anytime.
Thank you. Today, we want to welcome Jim Fleming in for an interview. We're in the Gaelic American Club at 74 Beach Road in the library. With me today is Jim's daughter, Jerry Corella, and his granddaughter, Amy Wong. Taking the notes is Sally O'Hara, and doing our filming is Kevin Collins, and I'm Peg O'Leary, who will be conducting the interview. Thank you, Jim, for coming and sitting down talking to us.
You're welcome, dear.
Could you please tell me your full name?
James Fleming.
Do you have a middle name?
We were too poor.
Okay.
No, I don't have a middle name, no.
How was your name chosen? Do you have any idea how?
My mother's brother was James.
Was James. So you were named for him, okay?
Yeah.
What part of Ireland are you from?
Belfast.
Belfast. What, can you tell me more, like the townland, or what part of Belfast?
I can't understand that. What part of Belfast?
Is there like a townland? Like
No, Belfast is a city, like Dublin.
You're in Belfast City. Okay,
Right,
I
yeah.
didn't know that. All right. Were you born at home or in a hospital?
I can't answer. I
don't know?
I'm probably at home, but I really don't know.
All right. Do you have siblings? Do you have brothers and sisters? Were there
I
brothers?
had 5 sisters, unfortunately, and 2 brothers.
Could you name them for me, please?
Yes, my eldest sister was Rita Carlin, who was married to Pat Carlin's uncle, Tom Carlin.
Oh, Pat Carolyn, the doctor.
The doctor,
is a
yeah,
member of
yeah.
the club. Okay.
Then I was second. I was Jim. Then I had a sister Geraldine, a brother Tom, sister Lally, who's still alive in Florida, sister Nancy, and Jim, Geraldine, Tom, Lally, Nancy, and a brother Richard, and a sister Marie.
Very good. And how many of them immigrated to the United States?
Everybody but
Geraldine.
Geraldine, Richard, Marie. I guess about 5 of them. Rita, me, Tom, Lally, and Nancy. 5 of us.
Very good. Yeah. And did you all kind of come to the same area?
Yes, we did, yeah.
Very nice. What was your date of birth?
February the 12th, 1921.
You've seen a lot of history.
I beg your pardon?
You've seen a lot of history, Jim.
Yes, I have,
Yes. Okay. Were your grandparents and your parents from the same area in Belfast?
yeah. My mother was. My father was from Monaghan, I think he was from. He wasn't from the city. He was from out of the city somewhere, yeah. But my mother was from Belfast.
And your grandparents, were your father's people from Monaghan then?
I never had any grandparents while I was. None of us had any grandparents. We were all dead before we were born.
All right. Okay.
So I really couldn't tell you where they all came from. Yeah.
All right. Now you said you were born in a city. Your setting was a city life. You lived in the city, not into the country at all.
No.
Okay. What if you were standing in your doorway as a child and looking out? What would you describe what you would see in front of me? In front of yourself? What would it have looked like if you were standing in your doorway looking outside?
When I was a child,
Yes.
and just a small street with cobblestones.
Were there houses across the way?
Oh yeah, yeah. In Belfast. Belfast is a city.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, so and I'm talking about in the 1930s. It was like all cobblestone streets, you know, trolley cars.
Busy? Was it a busy city? Was Belfast busy at that time? A lot of people around?
Yeah, Belfast is a big city. Yeah.
Okay. And what was the inside of your house like? What did it look like inside?
What was inside of my house?
What did it look like? Did your mother have a range, or did she cook in a fireplace?
Well, yes, we cooked on a fireplace.
You did.
We had a small house. There were 8 kids, father and mother, probably 2 bedrooms, no bathroom. So you can figure out how we lived in a small house like that.
With no bathroom, living in a city, there were no fields to go into. Did they have like a bathroom that was a part of your complex? Where did you use the facilities?
What facility?
The bathroom facilities.
You mean, out
Toilet?
in the backyard?
There was a
Oh, yeah,
spot.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
all right.
An outhouse, yeah.
An outhouse. Okay. And were the houses that you lived in, was it attached to another house?
Oh, absolutely, yeah, yeah.
All right. Okay. I think I got a better idea of what it looked like.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Sure.
And across the street, Grenda, they all had the same row houses like you had,
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah, just an ordinary small street with people who were on the poverty level. Let me put it that way. They weren't. They're just a small street.
Okay.
There's a million in Belfast. Yeah.
Yes.
And
did
in
you-
every other city.
Did you have a shop that you would go to for things? A local shop?
Oh yeah, little stores around the corner. Yeah.
And who owned those? Do you remember?
Oh,
No.
I couldn't remember the name of the lady. I remember the lady, but I can't remember her name.
What would a shop have been like? What would one of those shops have been like?
Like a little grocery store. They sold tea, sugar, butter, eggs, stuff like that. You know,
Okay.
corner store.
Yeah.
There were no supermarkets in those
No.
days.
Yeah, I'm sure. What was the weather like when you were a child? The weather. What was it like?
When I was a child, what it's like now when I'm an 86-year-old man.
It's
It was
still the same.
damp, cold.
Okay.
But I mean, it was we were used to it. We didn't really care. You know, we didn't know any other different kind of weather, like, you know. So never bitterly cold and never terribly hot.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
75, 70. If you got 80 degrees, like a heat wave.
Oh yes.
But 40, 45, that was a bit normal for, you know.
Yeah.
Very little snow, not a lot of snow.
Do you remember snow at all?
Pardon?
Do you remember any snowstorms when you were a child? Was it exciting?
I only remember one. It was a big snowstorm one time, yeah.
Did everybody go out and play in the snow then?
Actually, I lived in Atlantic Avenue. My mother, who was a very, very caring person, and it was a big snowstorm, and they had people out there shoveling the snow off the points because the trolley cars had to get up and down, and the snow was frozen on them, and they were out shoveling the snow off the points. My mother made me bring out dinner, and we had no money at that time, to the guys who were shoveling the snow off the points.
That was a nice thing for your mother to do.
My mother was a nice person.
Yeah, she sounds like she was. Where did you go to school, Jim?
I went to school in Starra Sea School in Hollandaise Road in Belfast.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
A Catholic school,
oh,
because there were only three types of schools: Catholic schools, Protestant schools, Jewish schools.
Jewish schools.
And everybody went to their own school.
Uh-huh.
So if you wanted to look for a job, they didn't have to ask you what religion you were. They'd say, what school did you go to? And then you knew what religion you were, you see.
Uh-huh.
So they didn't say, you know, you can't get a job because you're Catholic. They say, what school did you go to? And they'd say, well, sorry, we're all full up or whatever. You know.
Ah. So that was the way to discriminate without...
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. How many years did you go to school?
I went to school for 14 and a half years.
And then did you leave to go and take a job?
I left because my father made me go to take a job.
Okay. You needed to have the money in the household.
We had no money in the household, that's right, yeah.
Yes, yeah. Okay.
And I took a menial job working in a lady's hat shop downtown Belfast, delivering hats to rich old ladies.
Delivering what?
And I got
Hats.
$1 a week for that,
Wow. Wow.
which I had to give to my mother.
Just to help take care of the children, I imagine, right?
Since you had to work, you pay the money. That was it. There was no argument, you just give the money up.
What was school like?
School was strictly boys and girls and girls. There was no segregations you couldn't. There was no co-ed schools. It was all boys' schools, girls' schools.
And who taught you?
I was taught originally by teachers. Then I went 1 year to secondary school, and I was taught by Christian brothers, who are the most sadistic people in the world.
Yeah, yeah. I've heard that you had, some of them were very, very...
Yes, they were there.
Yeah.
But they drove education into you, like, you know, whether you wanted it or not. You know.
Oh, yeah, I bet they did.
So the best thing to do was listen and be smart, you know.
Yeah, yeah. And when you were in your first years in school, was that taught by sisters, or was it?
Pardon?
Was it taught? Was your school your first schooling by nuns or sisters or?
No, the first grade was a lady teacher. Then after all, it was all men.
All men.
And they all had this long cane, a lack of cane, which they carried in, and that's what they taught you with, you know.
So you didn't make mistakes.
If you didn't make a mistake, they beat it into you, like, you know.
So even in primary school, the
Oh,
teachers
yeah.
are very.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. You know, they say over in this country, talk with a tune of the hickory stick. Well, that was a fact of life over there.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Did you enjoy school?
I loved it because I was smart. I wasn't smart, but I was smart enough to know that if you don't answer the question, you're going to get whacked around. So I took the easiest way out. I learned.
Yeah. Well, you probably were a smart person to begin with.
I don't know. I really don't know. That's a moot point. I wouldn't get into that one.
You sound like a smart man to me. What was your favorite subject?
Mathematics. I was very good at mathematics. Yeah. I could count money because I never had any money, so it's easy to count it. Like, you know. I wasn't good at history. I didn't like history, but I liked mathematics. I like school. I really
You liked learning.
Yeah, I like learning. Yes,
Yeah.
I like to be taught. Yeah.
What would a normal day have been when you were a young fellow? What was your normal day like? Did you wake up at what time in the morning? How would a day have gone when you were a young kid?
Well, I'd get up in the morning, go to school till about maybe 2:30, 3 o'clock. Then come home, have something to eat, and go out in the street. Everybody went out in the street because we had no television, we had no radio, we had no computers, we had no video games. So you went out in the street and you played out in the street. And it was time to come home and go have something to eat and go to bed.
What kind of things did you play when you were out in the street?
Oh, hopscotch. We had these huge big hoops, just a steel hoop, and with a little, and you'd spin the hoop, and you'd go up the street with the hoop up and down the street all the time.
Oh, with a stick?
Yep.
Keep it going?
And we'd play leapfrog, and we'd play a little football with a whole bunch of brown paper tied up with a string because you didn't have money to buy a ball, and we'd play with that. You made your own. You had to make your own entertainment because there was nothing to give it to the house.
Were there a lot of children out on the street?
Absolutely, yeah. That's all you had to do. There was nothing in the house to do.
Right, yeah.
Except do your homework. That was it, you know.
Yeah.
No radio, no TV.
No radio when you were a child.
Well, there was little wirelesses, you know, but there was nothing else, you know.
And the wireless, was that an everyday event, or was that just special times that it would be turned on? The wireless, did it get turned on every day, or was that only special?
Well, that would depend on my father. My father ruled the roost in the house, and he said what went on and what went off and what did and what didn't happen in the house. My father was a strict man.
Was he?
Yes, he was.
And the hoop that you're talking about, where did that hoop come from? The hoop that you, who made that?
They would off a barrel. You get it off a barrel. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
an old barrel. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, that makes sense to me now. What kind of things did you do as a teenager? Now, I know you went to school when you were you left school when you were 14 and a half, so I imagine that made you more of a young man than a child anymore.
Yeah, well, I tell you the honest to God's truth, Peggy, there wasn't much to do when you had no money.
Yes, yeah.
So you just, you know, if you got the price of the movies was like 4 cents, you'd go to the movies, maybe once a week. Mm-hmm. That was it. Then there was a lady across the street from me who used to let me go errands for her. And I'd run all the errands for her on a Saturday to this store, to that store. And she'd give me 5 pennies. And for 5 pennies, I could get one day at the movies, like, you know.
Yeah, yeah. How about dances? Did you go to dances?
I belonged to the Hibernian Club in Belfast. This is when I was a little older, like maybe 18, 19 years old. And we used to run a dance every Saturday night. 4 cents to get into the dance. And all my sisters went to the dances, you know. And the only reason I went there was because if somebody picked them up to dance with and they didn't like him, they would give me the nod and I'd go over and tap him. And that was my sole purpose of being there, like, you know.
That was good. And how did you learn how to dance?
I really never did. I can waltz a little bit, that's about all, you know.
Did you learn that from your sisters?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
My eldest sister, Rita, she was a teacher of dancing in a dance class in Belfast. And the only reason she was a teacher was she got it free for teaching somebody else to dance, like, you know.
And what kind, when you left school, 14 and a half, what kind of job were you able to get?
Well, here's the steal. I hate to say this, but my father would take the paper, and he would sit there with the paper. He looked at all these jobs, and he put an axe at them. And I had to sit there every night and answer all these ads. And if he didn't like the way I answered it, I'd have to do it over again. And all these jobs were menial jobs. I mean, they were nothing jobs. And that's I started to work. The first job I got was, I said, in this hat shop. And then I worked for a shoemaker. And I delivered shoes for a shoemaker who lived next door to me. Then I got a job as in this billiard hall. They had 28 billiard tables. And I got a job there for £1 a week, which is great money. But I had to work 7 days a week.
Wow.
For that, like,
Yeah.
you know. And then they had the Blitz. And when the Blitz came, I went over to the shoemaker shop, and it was falling apart. My house was falling apart around me. And they gave me my cards, which means you're unemployed, like the shoemaker shop was gone, you know. So, what's the next question?
What kind of job did your father have? What did he do?
My father was a pawnbroker.
Oh.
Yes. My father was in the First World War in the Navy, and he was a stoker. And he fought through 1914 to 1918, and he never saw any kind of action. He was down on that hold, shoveling coal.
Wow.
For 4 years.
That's a tough job to have.
And he also was in the Second World War. And then the Second World War, he was on a merchant ship where they had a gun crew, a naval gun crew, like in the British Navy. My father was more British than the British were.
He was not an Irish Catholic?
He was an Irish Catholic, but he was British to the poor, you know.
Yeah, he was. Okay.
He had me going the opposite way all the time.
Yeah.
And the funny thing about it, like, he was so British it wasn't even funny. But if he got drunk and started to sing, all he would sing would be Irish rebel songs.